Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi, my name is Elle. I'm from England. I'm 25 and I'm a music producer and A&R in the music industry. So I grew up in the countryside. My dad being a musician allowed me to be exposed to music at a very early age. I moved away at the age of 18 to study music, and as someone with anxiety and OCD, at the time, moving 6 hours away felt very daunting, but I still had the inner drive to go for it. Throughout my career, I've had many opportunities, interviews with celebrities, free concert tickets, recording sessions with labels, and even attending networking talks with some of the biggest names in music. So, why am I here? Well, 2 years ago, whilst I was dealing with grief, I developed agoraphobia. I went from being confident at networking events to not being able to leave the house, and everything went silent. I've lived with anxiety and OCD for all of my life, and I have been to CAMS and I've been to private therapy, but this was something different. It was like my mind had skyrocketed 1,000 miles an hour, insanely out of control, and it was only getting worse and worse. Throughout the last 2 years, I've discovered something. I realized that my career had improved since being stuck inside. I know, weird. And it wasn't until I discovered a new way of thinking and creativity that I developed ways of working alongside my mental health. What was interesting is that even in the darker times, I still found myself having that drive. It was almost like a soul calling, and I really needed to listen to it, because I would have kept knocking on otherwise. So being indoors gave me that stillness to study, to refine my craft, and to explore psychology, philosophy, and how that all ties to your art. When I first developed agoraphobia, it felt like my whole world had shrunk overnight. I went from constantly being around people in studios and events to not even being able to step outside. I felt a lot of fear from this, losing contacts, maybe skills, even friends. As I live in a city, the hustle and bustle seemed to be a necessity for success. I also felt frustration at myself because of my OCD, and agoraphobia often is irrational. I'm a perfectionist, so I always knew what I was capable of. I just needed the steps to get there. And yeah, that's pretty much my story.
Thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story with us today. It sounds like you have been on quite a journey. So, can you take us back to that first moment? A young girl on a school trip battling with panic attacks. How did that experience awaken your awareness of mental health?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I've always had OCD, and during school, it was something that was flared up quite a lot. At the time, I didn't realize that I could potentially have ADHD alongside that. So that's something that I'm waiting for with my diagnosis now. During school, it was very much a case of finding different ways to do things and ways that suited me. And it taught me a lot about how growth works and that it doesn't have to be in like a busy classroom or a certain path that others may take. Sometimes it does happen when everything's silent and you really go in and look inside yourself.
Wow. So, as you are unraveling your own personality, your character, and trying to find a way of dealing with your mental health,
Mhm.
when did you realize that OCD wasn't a weakness, but part of your creative process?
So I always believed in the idea of opposites. I think there's a powerful thing to say about balance. And actually being able to live out that experience showed me the true value of it. And it allowed me to gain a lot more empathy and patience
Mm.
within certain situations. And I definitely think that the way that it shaped me to be who I am today, it taught me a lot about slowing down, and it
Mm.
taught me a lot about, like I said, looking inside yourself and how valuable therapy can be and how much it needs to be pushed in, especially with Gen Z nowadays.
So, what role has curiosity played in shaping your success in music and in life?
So curiosity is a major factor for me. It's something that I like to push as much as I can. It's one of my core beliefs and morals. I do believe that curiosity, intelligence is just curiosity. And I think that if you have that inner core beliefs, that will guide you much further than any external distractions can.
Hmm. Now, you are working in a fast paced energy world of the music industry.
Mhm.
How do you balance creativity and mental health?
So for me, it's about boundaries and guidelines. A lot of the times, it's about putting myself first, and having a good emotional boundary with work is also so important. So obviously, at work as an A&R in the music industry, and that's helping people shape their whole careers. I get such a bird's eye view of different kinds of artists. I worked with people from 100 views to 1 million views, and the thing that I always see that's common is that the people who have failed more are often prepared more than others that haven't. So I
Uh,
think that's an important thing to push, that having that curiosity and linking it to career is something that could be really powerful.
I like that. Yeah, they
Thank you.
do say that sometimes the things that feel like failures are just the stepping stones to your success.
100%. I think that there is, when people say there's no such thing as failure, obviously it sounds so easy to say it, but it's really true if you can reframe those minds. And again, linking to mental health, that's why therapy is so important, because that's where you learn those skills.
That is so true. Now, I want to expand a little bit on what you said that intelligence is curiosity.
Mhm.
Can you share how that philosophy has guided your journey?
Yeah, so I have my own philosophy actually in music,
Mm.
and it's called the coin theory, and I use it in everyday work. So whether that's producing music or doing A&R meetings, or like I said, remote education. I've done a lot of that since having agoraphobia. I definitely would say the way that it's impacted my work is by looking at the opposite and just being curious of things that are outside of your job area. So I 2 years ago wouldn't have even known that A&R is a role that I could do, let alone remote. And that is one thing that, I do stand for, is that the industry is malleable. You are able to customize it. And with my story, that's sort of the main message, really, is that there are other ways to do things that doesn't have to be the standard route. And there are people out there that are making specific movements to help that. As I said, online education, my A&R job is remote, and I would have not had a clue unless I went outside of production, which is where I started.
Now, tell us about the moment that you decided to pursue music production, even when your teacher dismissed the idea.
Yeah. So my music teacher, fun fact, he taught James McVeigh from the Vamps. So I confided in him and I said, do we have music tech here for GCSE or BTEC? And very adamantly, he said, no. He said, we do not do that there. And I remember feeling this inner anger about it, because it was already, the music industry, such a difficult thing to get into. That I was so young, and I obviously, like I said at the beginning, I had that inner drive and it had nowhere to go. And again, for people with mental health, you need that creative outlet.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what does creating harmony in a noisy world mean to you personally?
It's a good question. I would say probably hobbies is a big thing. I keep linking everything, but it is a cyclical thing, which is why it's a coin, because it's in a circle. Everything links to one another. And for me, being balanced and creating harmony is making effort and time for my hobbies. As somebody with OCD and ADHD, it often slips under the radar. If you are someone that relates to me and, you're a perfectionist, it will slip and you will be working all day and all night, and you need to make time to eat. So hobbies for me is playing my piano, going on Pinterest, really romanticizing it is the answer to that question. Making sure that the time is intentional too.
Now, as a woman who's working in music tech, how have you navigated spaces that are still so male dominated?
So actually, I was the only girl in my class at uni, and it was a culture shock, definitely. Being in a big city, and as I said at the very beginning, moving away. I didn't have family, I didn't have friends at that point. So I was in these rooms and I would honestly look around, and people, there's such a stigma about it that they kind of assume it doesn't exist. It's weird. They kind of think like, oh, like the girls are out there. And I'm like, okay, but where? Do you know what I mean? Like, where on the forefront?
Where are they?
They're there. They're there. They just need the representation. And that is what my message is about.
So how do you use your own story to empower other young women who are struggling with OCD or anxiety?
So I do a lot of talking about it on social media. That's my main platform. So I post on pretty much 6 different platforms. I try to do it daily to really build up that community. And that is where my core fan bases come from. Music-wise, I document how I make music there. I document my A&R sessions, and I really try and give this background knowledge and just show people that, like, there are people out there that are really nerdy and passionate about music, and I with my outlet, I don't have anywhere to go with that. Like, there's obviously the big names like Jacob Collier or Charlie Puth, but they are guys, and I would like to see like a girl like decorating her space and pretty books. Like, it sounds silly, but if you do need that structure, as I said, romanticizing it is probably the best thing you can do.
So what are some misconceptions that people have
Mm.
about neurodiversity and success?
That we are airheads. That we success is one size fits all is a
Yeah.
misconception. It is the complete opposite. Linking back to what I said again, it's malleable. It's almost like this, like you can kind of envision it in your hands. And I just need people to know that you can mold it, if that makes
Yes,
sense.
I like that. Now, you've developed a beautiful three-step framework.
Hmm.
Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so it's basically what I would give advice wise to anyone sort of struggling or to um, maybe my younger self, that kind of thing. So, number one is that feeling deeply, especially within music, is so important. And if anyone's out there that's trying to crush that side of them, or a lot of times people feel like they have to mask because, I mean, another misconception is that music is either a corporate job or not a corporate job. Like there is the music business and people do 9 till 5s in that, and there is more freelance music jobs like I do that, you know, is so flexible. So number one would be whatever you feel and your taste is probably the best thing that you have. Like don't ever get rid of your opinion. The second one is that creativity is not a location, and this goes back to the whole malleable idea that it's not a location, it's not a piece of equipment. You need to start where you are. And something that I've learned in my therapy with OCD is that a lot of times we think about black and white thinking. So, for example, if I was writing a song or making a post on social media, there's a lot of perfectionists there that I think people can relate to. But nobody knows everything. And I think once you realize that, you will walk into rooms with so much more confidence. Number three is rest. 100% give yourself permission to rest, please. Because again, if you are similar to me, you will work. You will work yourself to the bone, and burnout for mental health is such a poignant thing. I think people overlook that so much that they think, you know, I have to mask and just carry on. But rest and slowing down doesn't mean that you're literally slowing in your career.
I like that. Really good advice. Now, how has your understanding of neuroscience
Mm.
influenced your artistry and your personal growth?
Great question. Neuroscience is basically the core of everything, and I kind of group neuroscience, therapy, and knowledge into one. So, mental health is just all about your brain. It goes down into your body with the physical symptoms, but it is so important that you understand how your brain works. And a lot of people think that studying neuroscience, you will just learn science. And it seems kind of boring. And that's something that I wanted to do with my message as well, is that show that music tech is fun and it's interesting and it's personal. You know, the way that I learn about neuroscience, because I love learning about frequencies and adding them into my songs and my mixes, like hidden Easter eggs, which is pretty fun. But someone else might go ahead and enjoy like the physical, you know, the layout of the brain, and that is something that helped me in therapy, 100%. Just learning which part of my brains are active and how that correlates with music, because there's so many studies on how music helps, you know, dementia,
That's
a
so
key
true.
one.
I love it. Now, how do you define legacy? And what legacy do you want to leave behind through your music and your message?
So I love legacy. Legacy is one of my favorite things to discuss because, you know, if I was going to talk to myself in the future, I would say, well done for being curious and well done for being kind. And the legacy I want to leave behind is I want people to feel seen, but I want people to feel that they can balance things. A lot of the time it's focusing on one thing, but I want people to know that it's okay to be maybe a little bit of a scatterbrain and have different interests like neuroscience, social media. Like, they can work together, and they can work together really well.
I love it. Now, if your life had a soundtrack, what would be the title of the next chapter?
Great question. The title or the soundtrack to the next chapter. Next chapter is crazy. Oh my goodness. It would be something like reinvention, but because I learned about songwriting, I feel like I need to make it more metaphorical.
Right.
I would probably call my next chapter. You know what? Actually, I would probably go something like avant-garde and call it like empty space, because it's like a clean slate. Like, I'm putting in the work. We're thriving. So
Oh, I
probably
like that.
empty space. Yeah.
I like that. So, how has music helped you make peace with your mind? And what does healing through sound look like for you today?
100%. So healing through sound for me relates to my hobbies. I love listening to like resonant frequencies, and they have, spiritual benefits linking back to neuroscience, and just putting on a feel good pop playlist, Ariana Grande. Like, it's subconscious stuff that happens. It's easy and it's lightweight. And if you are someone that struggles with mental health, you know how hard it can be to even wake up or to sleep on time.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to balance things, and to have something that's so accessible and easy and something that I can make myself
Yeah.
is such a blessing, really.
I love that. So, when you're mentoring or collaborating with other artists,
Yeah.
how do you help them channel their struggles into creative strength?
Yeah. So one of my main things and goals as a producer, mainly because that's when I work with other artists in a direct conversational sense. I aim to be warm, and I've got some great feedback in the past of just making a studio welcoming, because, as you said, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of dark lights. Like, there's a lot of buttons, and it's so intimidating. And people forget that, number one, we don't know. The producer doesn't know everything. You would walk in, somebody going in there for the first time would walk in there and think, whoa, like, this is terrifying. And music is such a mental thing. To get someone like a singer to sing properly, they have to be comfortable. They have to be free to talk about their therapy. And songwriting, lyrics is all therapy, and it all comes from here, and it all comes out of here. And yeah, it's just making sure that you're a friend first, I think, is
I
important.
like that. So, what's the biggest myth about success in the music industry that you have personally shattered?
Wow. That's making me think about my whole career.
Yeah.
That you have to go to these events and network. I spent so long trying to, and the thing is, I'm naturally extroverted, luckily. Naturally extroverted, quite bubbly, like I dress quite girly, I would say. And the idea that you had to go in there, even for me, that was intimidating. So, for the people listening, it's about forging your own path is just as important as trying to assist someone else's.
I love it. Now, you mentioned representation.
Mm-hmm.
What would be true inclusion for neurodiverse women in music and tech look like for you?
Such a good question. I would say inclusion looks like listening, because a lot of the times people with mental health, they're just in it all the time. All that I see is through my own eyes. I'm always working, I'm always in it. And I think having that space open for people to be able to bring up issues or say, hey, like for example, at my A&R job, we do outreach every day in a spreadsheet. And I just messaged the tech guy, Dylan, and I said, I can't do this. I get so tired. It's a mental job as well.
Yes.
And I completely reinvented the spreadsheet. It's malleable.
I love it. So you are constantly reinventing things. You're basically saying people need to be agile, not
Yes.
getting stuck in routine. This is how we do it, because that's where the trouble really starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that ability to morph and change and adapt is
Mm-hmm.
a real strength in the work that you're doing, correct?
I would agree, yes.
So how has your journey with OCD reshaped your definition of strength and vulnerability?
Oh my goodness. OCD is a mental disorder that attacks everything that you're not. So I think it crushed my ego 100%.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that, I'm humble, but in the music industry, there is people that think they know everything, and there's people that
Mm.
are too nervous to do things. And for me, with my mental health, it's helped shape that to be able to help other people.
That's wonderful.
Thanks.
Are there any daily rituals or creative practices that help you to stay grounded and mentally balanced that you can share?
I enjoy my downtime a lot. I make time for things that fuel me rather
Mm.
than take away. Sometimes work, although it's my career and hobby, work does become a career, and it can be so mentally draining, even if you're working from home or, running around a studio all day.
Yes.
Also, people skills. Talking to people all day, if you're neurodivergent, will drain your battery.
Mm.
So downtime is why that came up for me.
So important. It's interesting because for me, I am energized when I'm around other people. I suck in their energy. It actually lifts me up. And for you, it's the exact opposite. My
Mhm.
last two questions are a bit of a thought experiment.
Okay, cool.
First one, I'm going to take you back to the past.
Okay.
If your younger self could see you now, confident, creative, and thriving, what do you think she would say?
My younger self would say, yeah, that's where we're meant to be. Like the drive has always been there. And I know for a lot of people it is. You don't choose music for a whim. You don't choose it for a passing hobby. The people that I work with and I see daily that, need A&Rs and they need studio sessions, it is their whole life. So younger me would be like sassy. She'd be like, yeah, it's hard. Like, of course it is. Which is so interesting because you don't see, the struggles of it. You
That's
have to
true.
have to stay confident.
So, what's next for you in the future? And how do you hope your voice, your story, your music will continue to inspire others around the world?
So, future for Elle Brown. It looks like music. It looks like abundance. It looks like hopefully a Grammy. um,
Nice.
yeah, Grammy, public speaking. I enjoy working with charities. I love writing, so I've dabbled in music journalism, sort of
Right.
writing music reviews, that kind of thing. But that's something that I enjoy keeping as a hobby. I'd love to write for other people too. Um, in the future, yeah, music, putting music out is the first thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, booked and busy.
I absolutely love it. Well, Elle, thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story with our community today. It's
Thank you.
absolutely inspiring seeing a young woman who had what most would have thought as a disadvantage that you managed to transmute into a very successful career in music and tag. Very, very inspiring. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for listening to it.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to help take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are a creative person who wants to go into the music industry, or you know someone who wants to, please share this podcast. Let's use this as a source of inspiration for others as well. I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thanks again, Al, for the interview.
Thank you.
Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story. Thank you, thank you, thank you.